Welcome. It's Monday, April 15th, 2024, and this is the Safety Committee meeting where we are going to present facts that prove the need for an income tax levy for safety services. This is an operational levy and will only include the hiring of personnel for both police and fire departments. Committee members that are present are Steve Salander, Dennis Wallensack, and myself. This meeting has a time limit and is being presented as a data and informational meeting only. There is no public nor council participation in this meeting due to the time limit. This meeting is for the purpose of the administration and the fire department to prove the need to hire 12 additional full-time fire rescue personnel. We will be representing this issue beginning in May. There is when residents are welcome to ask questions. Council members are each given data and documentation to go over, and if there are any further questions from anyone on council, it is highly encouraged to reach out to administration, both fire and police chiefs and assistant chiefs. This vote from council is a vote to put this on the ballot to let the citizens decide. We need their voice with this issue. This issue is not dead. This issue will come back over and over again until we can provide you with enough information for you to understand everything that I understand, being the chairwoman of the Safety Committee. And that is the true fact of the impact of not having these positions. We need to put differences and feelings we have towards others aside to do what is right for the safety of the citizens of Oregon and to allow them to have their voice be heard with regard to their own safety. I now turn this over to Mayor Saran.
Thank you, Kathy. And the first thing I want to address, or maybe the only thing I want to address tonight, is on Monday's meeting, reference was made to our $12+ million general fund reserve account that we could fund things out of that. Well, most people in the private sector, the way they can run their finances is a lot different than it is in the public sector in the city of Oregon. It's considered best practice in communities to have a general fund reserve. The best practice would be of 1 year's operation, which would be approximately $26 to $28 million. We have 12 plus 4 in other accounts, so we don't quite achieve that. A good practice is considered to be half of that, a half a year or 6 months, so approximately what we have now, and just barely a quarter of that is considered to be you're in trouble. So we consider that carry-in reserves as an instrumental part of the operations of the city of Oregon, where anytime we would drop below that, we would work to get that into position before we start spending money. In the public service department, it would be very easy to spend through approximately $40 or $50 million right now in just roads and drainage repairs that we wait to enact those different repairs, still keeping the reserve balance at that $13, $14, $16 million range. But if we were seeing it as just extra money laying there, that's just not the case, because we could merely spend through all of that and way more this year. We make adult decisions. We prioritize our budget for the streets and the drainage, and they suffer different years so that we can achieve those balances. So I was just trying to establish that we don't have money just laying out there. That's an instrumental part of the operation of the city of Oregon. Nick Roman is here to maybe verify that, but if he wants to say anything, but that's where I'd like to just state that as facts in the operations of our finance department.
Well, due to the time constraint, I'm going to pass it to Chief O'Brien.
Okay.
And then if we need any numbers off of what he's discussing, then we'll turn it back to Nick. But thank you, Mayor. Go ahead, Chief.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Chair. So over the last week, and as we had the discussion and hearing how everything maybe I've felt like it got off track a little bit on the fact of the feasibility study and the fire station number 42. And I can completely understand that. I understand that we do have a brand new fire station out on Wynn Road, and where the priority lies at is simply with the amount of personnel that we have on a regular basis. We did put together a package just for the information for you guys to take and challenge me and ask any of our staff for any questions that you have. But it does show, overlapping data, where the call volume is, where all those different maps are. We looked back all the way through 2023 from April of 23, so essentially 1 year. And we then broke it up between April and December, and then also the first quarter of 2024. To be able to show the amount of calls that it is and where we're on track for this year, how many calls it is per day. The overlapping is that one thing that I've, just kind of reiterate the fact that we do about 30% of our calls are overlapping calls. But getting off track on that feasibility study was on my own accord. Like that's just something that I was always used to, being able to put everything together. But I want to be very clear that we could definitely benefit from just the personnel if that's what we see as of now. The fire station number 42 has temporary quarters. I know that we've taken some of you through that to be able to see that. And we could easily put the personnel up at 42 if we had those personnel, and we can figure the station 42 out down the road. The plan would be, as far as like I've heard everything from size of apparatus bays and what we're going to keep up there. But in short, we would easily have the truck and the medic unit up there, and we'd be able to quickly respond. And again, it wouldn't be something near as what it is there. And quite honestly, when we did get to the point of what we need in Fire Station 42, nobody would probably even know that we did anything with it because it wouldn't need to look any different from the outside. It would just really mainly be the interior furnishings, essentially a shower, locker room, and some dormitories is really what mainly is needed up there at the fire station number 42. So, but I just really wanted to make sure that we got really back focused on the personnel, because as the pressures of individuals running on these runs on a regular basis, that they're constantly turning from St. Charles and going to that, next call. And as you can see, that packet's 26 pages of every overlapping call. That was about 1,024 overlapping calls in 2023. So it happens every single day on a regular basis. So I just really wanted, in the interest of time and everybody that wants to speak, I know that CJ, the union president, wanted to talk just about the safety of his personnel.
Thank you, Chief. All the information that you have been given to council is now public record, and you can share it with whoever you'd like. Before we get to the full-timers, I would like to give a moment for Chief Began to discuss his need for his position that he's looking for on the police side.
Thank you,
Go
Ms.
ahead,
Pauloff.
Chief.
Thank you, Ms. Pauloff. We are looking just to add one upper command position. It would be a police captain. It would be a non-bargaining position. We currently have the chief, assistant chief, 1 lieutenant, and then 9 sergeants that most of them work under the lieutenant. So we wanted another non-bargaining captain position. Some of the tasks that would go into that would be internal investigations, so they can be impartial. It doesn't really work well when we have a lieutenant who's in the same union as sergeants. And then that ends up getting put on the assistant chief's lap. So we need an impartial for the internal investigations. They would oversee 2 sergeants, which would likely be the detective sergeant and the records sergeant, or records and technology sergeant. This would increase or allow us to increase community involvement, public information that would run through that captain. And it would also reduce tasks of sergeants and lieutenants, or sergeant and the lieutenant. That way those sergeants and the lieutenant can focus on their particular unit and also their personnel to help develop those personnel.
Okay, thank you for that. Anything else from the fire chiefs and assistant chief, police, fire? You're all set? Okay. At this time, I'd like to bring forward CJ Burnett, who is the president of the full-time firefighters. Yes. And do you want him to state his name and address for for your comments, please?
Okay, yep. My name is CJ Burnett. I'm the president of Local 4093. Our biggest concern at our department now, we're dangerously understaffed. For perspective, Toledo Fire, for a first due alarm at a structure fire, they have roughly 18 members that show up. We have 4 on our minimum staff days. And like
Excuse me,
Chief
can
said-
you get, I know
sorry,
you're
yeah.
tall.
Yeah, good, yeah.
I
It
need
is
you
kinda low.
closer.
Okay.
I need you a little
Yeah.
closer. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So on our minimum staff days, we have 4. So we have 2 on each medic unit and then 2 in the life squad, which you know that's going away and that's going to be beneficial for us in the future. But as of now, with 30% of our calls being overlapping, we have both of those medic units out. There's nobody there to take the fire truck until somebody shows up on a general alarm. And that response is typically by other full-time members getting recalled back to the station. I know we have the part-time side working fill-in shifts, which are mostly covered by full-time members because they're unable to fill those part-time shifts. So we're covering it with our overtime, which is kind of leading to some burnout with our guys. So just moving forward, we are mostly focused on the safety of the citizens and the safety of the fire department, and we need a sustainable way to maintain that staffing. That's all I got.
Is that all you have?
Yep.
Do you have anyone else that would want to speak from your
I don't
department?
know if anybody else from us? No?
I can give you a little bit of my history and from 1980.
Please do, come on up
Thank you.
and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Jeff Nissen. Almost everybody here knows me. I've been around for a lot of years now. I have 36 years on the department, started on November 1st, 1988. 11 years paid on call. Everybody likes to refer to it as volunteer firefighters, but unfortunately, when I got hired in 1988, there was no such thing anymore as a volunteer firefighter. We were paid for everything that we did back then in 1988. I made $6.25 an hour and $3.25 a run for vehicle maintenance. That's how we were paid back then. September 1st, 1999, I became a full-time firefighter on the life squad. And at that time, we had 2 people that were guaranteed to make a call. That was the 2 guys in the life squad. We waited for our paid on call personnel to get to the station to bring the other squad or the other units. And for quite a few years, that worked effectively until about the year probably 2012, 2013 is when we started seeing a decrease in the number of responders showing up at the station. And then we started hiring more full-time firefighters. We got up to 14, and then now we're up to 21. But for anyone who believes our job is easy, it's very difficult to work cardiac arrest with 2 paramedics on the scene. And that's how it was for years and years, until we finally started increasing our staffing and made it beneficial for the citizens of Oregon. And as CJ said, right now, we are filling the part-time shifts that they agreed to fill with full-time staffing because we can't get anybody to show up, sign up for those shifts. And on general alarm recall, the majority of people showing up are either our off-duty full-time firefighters or actually off-duty Toledo firefighters that also work part-time in the city of Oregon. So to say the need is there. There's no ifs, ands, buts, or about it. We're running as many runs as the city of Perrysburg comparative size, and they staff quite a few more personnel all day long at 2 separate stations. So this is something that's needed. If you look at the statistics, you should agree that there's no doubt about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from the chiefs? One thing I was going to save this until my report at the end of the actual meeting, council meeting. But one thing that I really want to add here, it was brought to my attention this past week that on Facebook, Mr. Salander had posted a letter that was from 2019. And I read that letter, and it spoke about getting rid of, doing the consolidation for 911. And then Lucas County not having the life squad anymore. And what really got me was the fact of consolidation of our fire departments. And you're correct, Mr. Salander, that is an issue. That is something that could possibly happen. But Lucas County isn't going to have one big fire department. What they will do, in my opinion, with what I've seen, and I've seen a lot, is they will consolidate us with another fire department. So we got to look around who's near us. We're already answering a lot of calls with Jerusalem Township, am I correct?
For ALS, yep.
Right, for ALS only. What else is next to us? Toledo? So with that being said, I like the heed that the city of Maumee took. They got their levy all set up so they could be a strong department. Because when you're a strong department, you do not open yourself up to consolidation. Not answering those calls is what's going to weaken us and open us up to consolidation. I don't want consolidation, but what I do want is I want the safety of these citizens to be upmost, and not only the citizens, but the residents, friends and family who come to visit. And we have roughly 50,000 people driving down Navarre Avenue, so that's half our population. So we've got double the people in the city of Oregon. We need a strong department. So, Mr. Salander, if you have anything to say, please share.
Yep, sure do, since we want to make it personal. So first of all, if you read that paper, it says Consolidated Fire Services. It does not say departments. So I understand that. Second of all, if this is so dire, right, why did we wait until now?
That's an
Why wasn't this
excellent
done
question.
before? Let me speak. Why did we wait until now? If it's to this point where we have so many concerns and so many issues, because I'm concerned about the safety of our citizens and our firefighters as well. So don't try to make it seem like I don't.
Oh, no,
So
I am.
no,
I
you
am
let me
commending
finish.
you.
You let me finish.
Okay,
You had your turn and you decided to make it personal. So
No,
this,
sir.
so why are we waiting until now? That's my question. Why are we waiting until now? I'd be more than happy. I'll vote right now to spend money to put personnel on there right now. Right now. So why are we waiting? Why are we waiting for a levy? Why are we waiting until a levy that money doesn't even start until next year? If it's this much of a dire emergency, why in the hell are we waiting until now to take care of these people? Thank you.
You have a very good point, and I was not demonizing you in any way. I wanted your opinion, and you did have a great point. I was commending you for pointing that out. And as far as me letting anyone finish, right now I'm running this meeting. So that is where it is right now. I wanted your opinion because you are passionate about this, and this needs to be fixed. And the only way that we can do it is with this levy, and we need to put it in the hands of the residents. It's not in our hands to decide this. It is the hands of the voter.
Also, Mr. Chairman,
Chief-
Chairwoman, sorry.
Chief wanted to have something to say?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to point out, just for the clarification for the reason why now is, so I've only been here since November of '22. We wanted to do our due diligence and make sure that we were providing a department that meets the needs of the community. And so that's how we went through that internal strategic plan and the community-driven strategic plan. So by the time that plan just got completed is kind of how we got there. In last budget, which would have been in as we asked for this year's budget, we did ask for 3 personnel in this year's budget. We asked for that as a way of being able to maybe, become the start of however we were going to, get this plan put together. We've also put the SAFER grant. We did submit that SAFER grant just as a follow-up. We submitted the SAFER grant on Friday. That SAFER grant was for 5.531 million, and that'll cover for 3 years of all 12 of those firefighters. And to touch base on this Life Squad situation, in our case specifically on the Life Squad going away, that is actually a huge benefit for us. It's a huge benefit for the fact that instead of talking about 12 firefighters, we would be talking about 18. And because that's essentially 2 positions each day that we don't have any control over. They don't get dispatched every call, and they only get dispatched ALS calls. So to try to, best utilize the staff, that's how it is. So I certainly don't want it to feel like, hey, it's a rush, because we have been working on this for quite some time, having the discussions, making sure we're talking to the community, going through the SWOT analysis. We've really just done the homework to provide you guys with all the information that we're coming, with, to make sure that it's brought for you to be able to make the best decision as you see fit. Our department is a combination department, and I've taken this stance since day one. We will always be a combination department. It doesn't change anything for the part-time employees, and I call it a 3-tier department. We have our local responders, we have our part-time that work at the station, and we have individuals that are full-time. But we also I fully understand that when you work a job, and your full-time job is not in the fire service, it may be, a contractor or doing some other work, that it's not that easy to be able to make these calls in the middle of the night either. Because essentially you have to be able to perform 100% at your job. And so just as when we talk about, covering shifts with overtime and having, the minimum staffing meaning that there is only the staffing the minimum staffing at our fire department does not include anybody on a fire apparatus. So we do get to that part where it's cross-staffed, and we're hopes that, that we have somebody there that can jump on the engine. But we do try to hold ourselves, or we're just at least trying to meet these standards. I've talked a lot about NFPA 1720 and NFPA 1710. It was news to me just on Friday, when we did the SAFER grant, that we actually meet the 1710 standard, not the 1720 standard. The 1720 standard allows a little bit for a little more room. We don't meet either one of the standard. The 1710 standard is essentially for career departments, or a majority of career departments, whereas the 1720 is more of combos or a majority of the volunteer part-time. And so essentially either one of those standards is the major difference between the two would be the 1720 is 10 firefighters on scene within 10 minutes. I went back through all of our structure fires in 2023, and we did not meet that standard once. The standard for 1710, which would be the career fire department, which by FEMA's requirement is what we should meet, is 15 firefighters in less than 8 minutes for a low hazard fire. All the way up to a medium hazard, 28 firefighters in less than 8 minutes, and 43 firefighters for a high hazard in less than 10 minutes. And the high hazard, as we all know, we live in Oregon. So we do have a lot of high hazards, and I'm not even expecting us to get to 43 firefighters. We will ask for help of our neighbors to be able to, get enough individuals on scene. But what we're trying to really be able to handle is really just that first call. So that first call being a structure fire, which would be an engine, a truck, a medic, and a battalion, or the first 3 EMS calls, which would be able to we would have enough staff to be able to handle the 3 simultaneously EMS calls. And as you can see, 30% of that, our calls are there. But I do want to point out that Rich Nelson is the president of the part-time union. I want to give him an opportunity. If he has anything to say, I think that would be a time that, again, he could share too, because nothing changes for our part-time staff, but I want that to be I don't want it to be a one-sided thing. I mean, we have worked our butts off on trying to, really create a good working environment for everybody. And that everybody has a spot to be able to be at the Oregon Fire Department. And why I say it's going to be and will remain a combination department is because last week, when we had the part-time, when we put out for the part-time applications, we got 16 applications. That is great, 16 applications, but that's built upon culture and people talking about our department in a positive way. But one of those individuals that came in lives on Brown Road, young gentleman, about 18, 19 years old, lives on Brown Road, wants to be on the fire department. And he's actually took it upon himself to go to EMT school, and that's where he was going. Went back and told 3 other people, and we got 2 more applications because of that, because he went back and told his friends at school. So that door is always open when you have a combination department, whereas an all-career department, we don't have that. So I just wanted to point out those few things, and if
Since
Rich
Since
wants to-
Mr. Nelson is here, do you have anything to say? Would you like to come up to the microphone, please? Name and address for the record, please.
Rich Nelson, 6419 Corduroy, President of the Part-Time Union. Guys, we do support you guys.
Oh, you need to
Well,
address
I'm gonna
this
address
and-
this way.
No, you need to put your.
Well, we do support the full-time firemen. Chief, I appreciate you calling me up, but that's not
Yeah.
the issue at all. And if it's such an emergency, we know they need help, for God's sake. We know that, we see it. I'm no stellar fireman, I'm not down all the time. I'm down there, but not as much as I should be, but I do have stuff going on, like all of us do. But it should be done already. We don't need to wait for a levy. If you got the money, you pull it out of your pocket. If you can spend money on land, you can hire firemen. It's not, don't sit there and say, oh, part-time side, watch my mouth. But we do support the full-time side. We do enjoy working with them. I like all these guys, but like I said, it should be done now. There's no reason to wait. Like Steve said, if you need to hire them, do it now. The money will come. The mayor said if this deal goes through another year, you won't need a levy. Hire them now. If it doesn't go through, then we revisit a levy. Give the people a chance. And if your plan falls through, which I hope it doesn't, then we revisit it, and people are probably more apt to it versus shoving it down their throat right now. You gotta, don't shove it down their throat. Wait the year. Be respectful, and people probably support you. When you're disrespectful and you're jamming it down our throat, it's I pay taxes. I live here. I pay taxes here. It's my community. Everybody knows me. So just take it for what it's worth. Thanks.
Thank you for that. Now, before I get to Nick, there was, I'm sorry that there's no public or council comment on this. And I said that in the beginning, but I thought it was important to bring up the fact, because I know that consolidation has always been looming. So I'm going to leave it at that. And there's any comments or questions, those will be brought up in the coming weeks when we do represent this. Our last speaker is going to be Nick Roman. He's got some information to share with us as well. Nick.
So I would like to just start off with mentioning that we did try to at least take a little bit of it into consideration back in 2021. We did hire an additional 10 fire positions. That was the 6 EMTs and then the 4 battalion chiefs, which one of the battalion chiefs positions was eliminated. Then we also did add 2 part-time fire inspectors since 2021. And from my understanding, part of when we hired them was that we knew we had the CARES Act and then ARPA funding to help fund these positions over those years. And there was expectation or hope that we would land a large industrial employer that would help bring in the revenues to pay for these. So that is around $1 million that has been kind of getting fed into our general fund budget. Because the ARPA funds will run out completely this year. So that there will be no longer be any other funds to help contribute to that. So that will be fully back on our general fund. And then in terms of the positions that we are looking to add in 2025, it would be the 9 full-time firefighters, preferably paramedics, the 3 lieutenants, which those positions are not created, but that would be in between the paramedics and the battalion chiefs, which would help eliminate some of the overtime costs for battalion chiefs because we'd have somebody who could fill in that role on the days that they're off, and then the lieutenant. These are estimated costs. We don't know what's going to come of the bargaining agreements yet, and what the pays will be, and that lieutenant position is not fully set up, so we don't know what the annual salary will be. So just take that in mind. These are estimated amounts, and it's around 1.7 million is what they would cost in the first year. And again, that they would all be step 1, so over the years, it's just going to increase and increase. The second attachment that I put in here is what our range of estimated income tax revenues would be from 24 to 29. I know I've mentioned this quite a few times, but the last 2 years were outlier years with the net profit payments. We had $8 million more last year and $5 million more the year before. That will not be happening for the foreseeable future. At least we believe will not be happening. And that is a change in the tax code in the state of Ohio, where these net profit payments, they used to only be allowed to use 50% of their losses over the last 5 years to net against their current revenues. Going forward, they're allowed to use 100% of their losses over the last 5 years. So we are not expecting to see any large payments like that for the foreseeable future. Hopefully I'm wrong, but that is what we're expecting. So I laid out what we believe at the 2.25% will bring in over the next 5 years. Hopefully it should be somewhere in that range. Hopefully it's further to the right. But then down below, I put in what additional revenue would be generated based off these increases. So if you have any questions on that or would like any more, dig into those numbers anymore, please let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. So we have come now to the time of the end of our meeting.
Mr.
Please-
Chairman, can I say a thing, 2 minutes?
No, we really need to close. I so apologize. Because we have the next meeting to get into and they've got a lot to cover. If you could please look over your package, you were given a lot of information. If anyone on council has any questions at all, you have these chiefs, the mayor, Nick Roman, anyone in administration will help you answer those questions. And we will revisit this in 2 weeks. As you can see, it's been a long time coming and now is our chance to get it right. So I ask for a move to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Any seconds?
Second.
Meeting adjourned.